Welcome back for another video. My name is Josh Kasich, and today is my, Princess Mononoke review. This is another Studio Ghibli movie, part of the Studio Ghibli series that I'm doing movie reviews. They will have their own playlists, and also I will put them in anime reviews as well, but they will have their own playlists as well. But let's kind of get into the plot of the movie, okay? So basically, we have an opening shot where the setting where they take place is a village called Emishi Village, and all of a sudden, there's these two guards. One, I wouldn't say one of them is really guards. He's kind of like the prince of the town. But he's also a fighter. They spot um a boar that kind of turned into a demon. See, animals in this world, at least like the big, most of the animals, not all of them, or at least the ones that come from this called the spirit forest, are basically uh, quote gods, I guess. But if they get um damaged or in such a way that they will become if they're almost killed or stuff like that, they turn into demons. And so this one turned into a demon and is about to attack their village and stuff. A huge battle ensues with the main character, the prince of the town. His name is Ashitaka. I think, yeah, Ashitaka. I think, yeah, Ashitaka. Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. And he basically battles the boar demon, and he gets injured with his arm, but he's able to actually defeat the demon. Fortunately, because of his arm, he got a curse on his arm. They also figured that the reason why he turned a demon because it had this iron bullet in it. And so, even though he's the prince of the town, because of curse, because of the rules that he is forced to leave. Um, and they kind of act like he's the last of his bloodline though, when he has a sister. So that's which is kind of weird. But basically, Ashitaka gets on his animal that he has, and he leaves the village. And he's eventually reaches a town, and in this town he meets a monk named uh, Jigo, and he tells him about this great forest spirit that can also turn into a giant night walker, and he said that this creature could probably heal him of his curse, and so basically Ashitaka goes towards the forest spirits, and this is where he runs into a company of people led by a woman named Eboshi, and this group of people get attacked by wolves, specifically uh, god wolves, basically quote, and they basically with the help they had guns on them, and they kind of shoot the wolves to get away, except for several of them did get injured or taken down. We don't, and if we don't, we just know of two. We don't know if there's more, but we know of two. And essentially, Ibaji says leave them or whatever, which is kind of cruel if you ask me. But they leave. Now Ashitake sees this, and he kind of rescues the men, two men. One man not really important. He kind of stayed unconscious, while another guy eventually, woke up, and they start to get to know each other more. They got really close, and they got really deep into this forest spirit, and this is when he sees the wolves again, and then a girl named San, also known as Princess Mononoke, and she kind of puts her mouth on the wound of one of the wolves, which turns out to be a wolf named Muro, and her adoptive mother, which we'll kind of get into later. But essentially, she tries to get the bullet out by sucking it out with her mouth. And so there's actually it's a really bloody scene actually. It's got a lot there. It I think this movie has a lot more blood in than the other Studio Ghibli movies I've seen. A lot more, but not too much. It's still technically a family movie, I think, even though it's like PG-13. I still think it's qualifies as like a family movie. I don't know, but whatever. They eventually get basically he tries to greet San, but she didn't like his greeting and told him to go away. Eventually, they get out of the forest and they're greeted by the town. They have this fascination of Ashitaka, and he's kind of one of the men, the person I told you he kind of gets to know each other more. Uh, basically, uh, another he actually has a wife in the village, and before he Ashitaka was actually going to be attacked by one of like the military guys, but the wife of the one guy kind of showed up and stopped that. And then Eboshi showed up with she's the leader of this town apparently, and this town's actually made up of uh, people from different places that kind of had nowhere to go. They kind of ran away, and there's also people with lepers. Actually, lepers. They got pretty much a lot of people with lepers. Now the weird part is how close these people got to people with lepers. I mean, other people that didn't have lepers. I mean, it's like that's not how lepers are supposed to work. You're not supposed to be like anywhere near people with lepers. They're contagious. They get passed on, and especially it's like I am really confused by that. Like why are they that close to people close like that? But it doesn't really matter. But that's my main point. So basically, Bashi kind of tells him about the town that, and basically that this is called Iron Town, and that she built this place by cutting down the forest, and this by cutting down the forest, several of the animals of the forest are really mad. Specifically, a daimyo named Asano, I think is the leader of the gorillas. I think is what I can't really remember because I don't think they said his name, and I was trying to figure it out. But his name is Asano, and then another group of people besides the wolves is boars, obviously, because and the boars are revealed. Basically, Eboshi reveals that she shot Nago, which was the name of the boar that attacked Ashitaka's village. So there's and that's kind of how it's named there. Eventually, San shows up to try to kill Eboshi, and she gets really injured. And then there's going to be a final battle sequence between Eboshi and San, but then Ashitaka gets in the middle of it, and San kind of faints and grabs San and carries San away. In the process, he actually gets shot by one of the villagers, but because of his curse, apparently his curse increases his strength and overall durability, but it's slowly killing him, and that's why he has to leave the village, which I forgot to mention. Now, Eboshi also mentioned before this, also mentioned to Ashitaka that San was actually raised by these wolves and hates all mankind or whatever. But basically, he leaves, goes to the forest spirit, and then kind of finally feels the wound, and it's a very fatal wound. So if it wasn't for his curse, he should have dropped dead. To be honest, that's how how serious it was. But he was slowly dying. But San woke up and tempted to kill him, but then Ashitaka kind of still in there, not fainted or anything. Just kind of just fell over. Told her that she's beautiful, and this cuts her off guard. And then the forest spirit actually heals his wound, not his curse though, just his wound. And then that's why she starts trusting him, and they get really close. And as you go throughout the movie, they get so close that it's kind of obvious that they become lovers. But whoops. I am sorry. One of my lamp light went out. So I'm going to, because I can't really charge in the middle of this. I'm gonna have to finish this video with not really a light on my face, unfortunately. I'm really sorry about that. But I think it'll be all right. It's a little bit of a shadow, but nothing else I can really do until that's charged. But kind of back into the story because I'm dilly dallying with that light thing. Um, okay, so we were back, right? So you trust her, and then they kind of hang out a little bit, and then they get confronted by the boars. Specifically, one the boars are led by a gorilla named not gorilla. What did I say? These boars are led by a blind boar named Okoto, and he's talking about how they're all going to attack the village, and um, basically, they're saying that this is not a good idea, but they're not listening. They decide to do it. Then this is going to happen on the next kind of this attack is going to happen on the next day. Now Ashitaka kind of leaves to go back to the village, and basically Jigo apparently shows up at the Iron Town with an army, I guess an army of samurais that are all from the Emperor, and basically they're trying to he's going to work with Eboshi and their guns and stuff like that to defeat the boars and finally go into the forest and get the head of the great forest spirit because the emperor wants the head because it thinks that it's going to heal him and keep him alive forever or whatever. Essentially, is the whole deal behind that. Now, also, I forgot to mention, Muro is still dying from the gunshot. She could heal herself, but she's deciding not to. I mean, she could be healed by the forest spirits, but is deciding not to. And essentially what's going on there. Okay. And so that's kind of where it leads on to a huge battle. All the boars are pretty much almost killed, except for Koto, but he's seriously injured. He kind of leaves. Ashitaka kind of shows up at the village that basically there's samurais attacking the village because while Abashi's away, the emperor's other plan is to actually get the Iron Town under his control because I guess currently it's really not under his control. It's like its own thing, and he's not happy with that. But Ashitaka kind of shows up and kind of really helps stop that really, and then kind of leaves to find the army killing the boars. And the samurais are going to stop him, but some villagers who are also helping the samurais attack stop them, and then Ashitaka goes and saves a wolf from under the thing that's still alive, but unfortunately another samurai tries to kill him because he's saving the wolf, but the villagers still stopped him, and Ashitaka goes on the wolf, and they go into the forest. Now later, San finds Koto, and Koto sees these boars. And oh, my allies are still alive, but it turns out these are people just in disguise as boars, and he gets even more injured, and he succumbs to the injury and he starts turning into a demon. But unfortunately, San gets stuck in the process, and she's going to become a demon with him, and it's a really bad, fortunate thing. And they kind of go all the way into the forest near the lake. Now the wolf and Ashitaka show up, and named Muro, because that's the one he saved, the San's adopted mother, tries to stop. Okoto tries to save San, and Ashitaka tries to help her. He is able to save San and go into the water, but the forest spirit shows up and takes the life of Okoto and Muro. They both die. And that kind of where it happens there. And then that's just when Eboshi and Jigo show up, and Eboshi cuts the head off, shoots the head off of the thing while it starts to turn into a night walker. And unfortunately, Eboshi grabs the head, but it came to life and bit her arm off. But then Jigo grabs the head with his men, puts it into a container, and starts running away. And in the process of this happening, the body of the great forest spirit starts to go all out crazy, blasting things, like killing the forest, becoming bigger, and everything's running away because everything's dying in front of dying if they get captured. And then obviously Ashitaka and San are trying to get to Jigo. I think they also help Eboshi because she kind of just got left there and she's really bad injury, and they take her away. This is kind of bad situation what they've done. Eventually, the village is about to be attacked by. Basically, the Great Forester has become so big, it's destroying everything. It even came to the village, and so all the villagers had to leave too, and the village gets destroyed. And at the last moment, they found Ashitaka and San finally reach Jigo, and Jigo, they basically convinced Jigo to give the head to them. They're about to be killed by the Great Forest Bear, but they both. Also, I forgot, San's about to be also starting to be affected by the same curse that Ashitaka is kind of cursed with. But they give the head to the demon, the Great Forest Spirit. Now, unfortunately, the Great Forest Spirit still died. It fell and died, but it healed the forest. It brought back the forest, even overall the village, and it healed San and Ashitaka's curse. And then the last bit of the movie is basically, Ashitake and San talking how they're different two people, that she needs to live in the forest, and so Ashitake said that I will stay here and help rebuild the town with Eboshi, and then but I will come and visit you. And this is really saying I'm going to visit you and be with you, and the whole thing. It's kind of essentially what they're saying without actually saying that. And I don't know if they have children with each other, if they're going to be living in two different places, because I don't think he's going to actually live there in the forest. I think he's just going to go back and forth. How they're going to raise their children, because they're going to be in two different places. That's a real interesting thing, but that's kind of more of a fan continuation of the story, and see where that would go. But right now it is that's not the important part. It's the part about the plot, and that's pretty much everything about the plot, guys. Now, my overall thoughts. I enjoyed the film. I thought it was beautiful. It was a beautiful film. Got the nature, the characters. It was really beautiful film. I like all the characters. I thought they were interesting. I like how you have two different people, very different people, raised differently in both Ashitaka and San, how they could come together despite their differences, and I think that it really shows how much opposites attract. But I think it's an interesting dynamic here. I also like how I like the idea of how would people be like if they were raised by animals in the forest. I always like that idea. I think it's an interesting idea, and I've seen so many different takes on that. With George the Jungle, Tarzan, so many things. Even Jungle Book, I've seen, different takes on how that would be like. And I like that interesting concept. And the writing was really well done. So that's kind of what I say. I think out of all of it, I definitely give it a 10 out of 10. And I definitely do recommend this movie if you have not seen it. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you're new, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified for my next upload. My YouTube channel, website link, my Twitter, my Snapchat, and Instagram are all in the description as always. And thank you. Goodbye.